Washington State, possibly UNLV, games that they were in and had a chance to win but just could not pull it off. Looking at their schedule for 2025, they may sneakily have one of the most favorable schedules going into this year. You got Central Michigan at home, which, they should be able to win that game. From there, you do take on the number one team in the nation in Texas. You come back home, you got Idaho. You got Stanford on the road. You got New Mexico at home. You got Wyoming on the road. You got Utah State on the road. Not bad road games to have this year. You do have Hawaii, but at home. You got Air Force at home. And then, you got away games against Nevada, San Diego State. And you finish out your year at home against Fresno State. So we're talking about, 4 away games in your conference that are, questionable teams that are still very much trying to figure out what they're about. I see them winning at least 3 of those games. Maybe San Diego State may give them fits and sneak away a win there, but other than that, they could win all 4 of those games. Even if they lose their non-conference games to, Texas and possibly in Stanford, I can see them beating Central Michigan. They may go undefeated at home. It's very likely. We're talking about a 4, maybe 3-loss team. That's probably good enough to get you to the Mountain West title game, especially considering that they do not have UNLV and Boise State on their schedule this year. Of course, they're going to have to make sure that they don't, slip up somewhere along the way. I do have their floor at 6 games, still bowl eligible, but, this is a team I could see winning 9 games very likely. That most likely means they're in the Mountain West title game, probably taking on Boise State. They could give them trouble there, plenty of optimism for the Spartans going into 2025. Projected to finish 3rd in the Mountain West. And, this is a team that can surprise a lot of people, and, maybe they play spoilers a couple times. I think Walker Eggett may be underrated, and he may finish out the year the top quarterback in the league. I think they're gonna spread and shred it, just throw it up in the air and see if some Spartans could come down with it. A team that, allowed Eggett to throw for over 300 yards per game last year. I don't see them slowing down by any means. I think, they got a beneficial schedule and return plenty of guys and bring in a lot of promising recruits. I think this may be their year. They're going to upset someone. We just don't know which team it is.